show is sponsored by HiveMind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the HiveMind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings, and of course to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
Hey, what's up, guys? Anthony with the HiveMind. Have a super cool show for you today. I'm going to teach you how to not get destroyed in real estate in the next couple years. You're not going to want to miss this program. If I was you, I'd watch it from beginning to end. We have a very special guest here from the last several podcasts we've done. They said that they're working with and getting mentored by this next gentleman, so you're not going to want to miss this one. Everybody give a warm welcome, please, to Mr. Kashmoneymike. You're famous, bro.
What's going on, man? How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, yeah, thanks for hanging out with us, man. When I met you that night at the dinner, I was like, man, we got to talk to this guy. And then, like, you know, you meet somebody and then you kind of put it in the back burner and then you never come back around to it. So I followed you on Instagram and I'm like, yeah, we'll come back. And then, like I said, last couple of interviews, everybody says that you're their mentor now. So I'm like, okay, let's get this guy on and see what the heck's going on.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was good. It was good chopping it up with you. I wish we had some more time to break some bread together, but we were waiting on those steaks, you know?
We were famished.
Yeah, man.
Oh, dude. Yeah. So I keep telling everybody this, and I've heard everybody kind of in the industry say it now, is that if you're in real estate, if you're wholesaling, then you need to start talking and learning about seller finance. And apparently you're the man in this area. So I can't wait to get into the meat and potatoes of this. So let's see where the conversation goes, man. Well, so can you kind of tell us about what you're doing right now and what your business model looks like and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, sure. So my real name is Mike Termini. I didn't give myself the name Kashmoneymike. I've got a kid who plays softball, and I was coaching a game one time. And after the game, we were kind of all in the huddle, and she goes, "Hey, Dad, I want to go eat." I reached my hand into my pocket and I pulled out a little knot. I peeled off $100. I go, "Here you go, honey." And the pitcher goes, Kashmoneymike with a K. And I go, "Oh my God, that's gonna stick." So I didn't give myself. I haven't given myself that name. Yeah. But my name is Mike Termini. I've been in the business for about 20 years. I'm not an old dog. I mean, I'm not a new investor, and I'm a creative real estate seller finance educator inside the space. I'm a buy and hold investor. I don't sell property, I hold property. And then I'll either trade it up if I'm going to get into a larger deal. But yeah, that's kind of just me in a nutshell. I'm originally from New York.
Awesome, man. So how did you get into the coaching space? Like, I guess you started doing real estate investing on your own, and then people just started hitting you up saying, "Hey man, I need to find out what you're doing." So can you kind of just give us like a quick backstory?
Yeah. Quick backstory is I'm kind of like a serial entrepreneur. I've made a bunch of mistakes. I've had everything from restaurants to bars to construction businesses and all this stuff. Always kind of had a passion for real estate. I got into it. I want to say right at maybe 2000, right at like 2000, maybe 2003, something like that. I was still in the bar business, believe it or not. And I wound up closing down this bar. I was very, very, very uneducated when it came to money. I wound up closing down this bar, taking like my last $6,000 or $7,000, flying out to Sacramento to study with a woman by the name of Alexis McGee. And she was teaching subject to. Well, little did I, know that even subject to was something that, that could technically be done. I went out there, I learned the strategy, came back to New York and didn't really retain as much as I thought I would. Just started investing a little bit. I started flipping some houses with my brother. I got a real estate license in New York, realized that wasn't for me, and then just kept buying property and buying lots and selling lots and making some mistakes along the way. I've been coaching So I've been coaching for a long time. I just haven't really come out from behind the curtains here. It was really just recently that I was at an event out in Scottsdale. I don't know if you've all been out to Limitless Expo, Ken McElroy and George Gammon. I was out there and I was watching Thatch win, believe it or not. And he got up on stage and he was telling his story. And I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come out from behind the shadows here and start telling people a little bit about what I do. Wound up getting taking Eric Klein's sales class. I take a lot of masterminds and a lot of classes on my own. And as I'm watching Eric, I'm going, holy shit, this guy is moving so much money in assignment fees and he knows nothing about real estate. I got to call him. And he'll tell you the same thing, right? He's like, yo, I'm sales and marketing. And he does know a little bit about real estate, actually a lot about real estate. But when I was watching him, I kind of immediately sensed that he was leaving a lot of money on the table, because if the deals really don't work for cash, what other strategies are you going to deploy? I wound up shooting him a text and I'm like, yo, I'm coming into Raleigh to teach you creative finance. I rolled into Raleigh. I brought media with me. And from there, I just started to kind of grow my Instagram presence. That's the only real platform that I'm on.
That's where I've been seeing you a whole lot.
Yeah. So I just started coaching. I started running like a 5-week program. I go twice a week, 2 hours a day. I usually run over by about an hour. And it's not only is it the acquisition strategy, it's the money game, right? So understanding not only the acquisition strategy, but kind of coupling it with the money game. And it's been fantastic. Teaching a lot of people from across the country has been great.
Insane, brother, man. Yeah, I'm excited. So I guess, can we kind of get into it right now? Because there's a lot of new people that watch this show. I had somebody actually today that goes to CrossFit where I go. And he was like, man, he goes, I've been watching some of your podcasts, your interviews. He's like, but I don't understand anything you guys are saying. So can we break it down for the new kids? Can you let us know what is seller finance and what's this money game we're talking about?
Yeah, so I think usually what happens inside the space is that people get attached to a strategy, and for most new investors, they don't really know what they want out of their real estate investing. I think it's just kind of shiny object syndrome with not only the strategy, but like it's like, oh, how do I get this money as quickly as I can, right? So I think number one for the new people is to definitely have a clear goal and vision with what you want to have happen inside your real estate journey, and then try to make that happen, find the best people and find the best strategy. Now, for a buy and hold investor, which I think most of the people aspire to be, but they don't really know it yet, it's all right, what am I looking for from my investments? And then how do I get there, right? So I think having a clear goal, finding a strategy, and then kind of deploying that strategy and going after it is going to be the way to go. And for most people that I talk to, it's like, yeah, I want to wholesale and start stacking cash, and then I want to own these buildings, or I want to own some single families, and I want to get into rentals. So for the new people that are on here that are just getting started, I think the best place to start is to know what you want from your investments. And for me personally, the 4 things that I want from my investments are going to be cash flow, it's going to be leverage, some tax advantages, and then appreciation. So if you can kind of focus on those 4 things and then figure out how to get to those 4 things, it's usually by owning real estate, renting real estate, managing real estate, and then refinancing real estate.
Yeah, that's a lot of moving parts. Because even myself right now, I'm like, I need to start taking some notes of this, but I guess I'll just have to go back and listen to it over again. So if you're going after, let's say for starters, right, you're a new guy, you have very little to no capital, you're just getting into the game. You want to see, and this is what I did instinctively when I first started real estate. I immediately started asking the sellers like, hey, what can you give me some time to pay this thing, right? So is that what you mean by seller financing?
Yeah, so I've kind of coined that kind of question, right? Where like people come in and they're like, what can I be asking the seller to try to structure a seller finance deal? And there's one question that can change the whole trajectory of anybody's business, whether they're brand new in the business or they're seasoned. And it's, hey, Mr. Seller, if I give you what you want, or I give you more than what you want, how much time would you give me to pay it off? And ultimately what you're doing here is, with that question, you're ultimately starting to structure the note that you'll wind up using, kind of, in the future as you kind of move down the conversation. So the thing about seller finance is that, let's talk about the types of deals, right? We've got 5 types of deals. We got a wholesale deal. We've got a novation deal. We've got a subject to deal, a seller finance deal, and a hybrid deal. And I think, again, knowing which deals do what is going to help newer investors also. So wholesale deals and novation deals are what I refer to as inventory deals. In other words, you're running through inventory. It's great to stack some cash, right? If you're a little limited on funds and you want to try to get some capital up, wholesale and novations are a great way to start stacking capital. But you can't earn yourself to wealth, and you definitely can't wholesale yourself to wealth, right? In order to really create true wealth, you've got to hold property inside this country. So sub two, seller finance, and hybrid deals are going to be these strategies that are real wealth building strategies, if that helps.
Yeah, super, super helpful, man. It's cool talking to somebody like yourself who's on your level, because you have all these good tips and nuggets. And I think they're so powerful that a new person's going to absolutely miss them. So I just want to just back you up 10 seconds real quick. That the way that you the way that you phrase that question is like, if I can pay you more than you're asking, how much time can you give me to pay? And that's powerful, because everybody that's in the wholesaling world or in the wholesaling space, you're hitting these sellers with like this stupid lowball offer that doesn't make sense to anybody. And a lot of times they just bat it away. They shut down, they hang up on you. They don't want to talk to you anymore. So if you frame yourself that way and you say, hey, if I can pay you more than that, how much time can I have to pay? That's powerful, dude. Because it's like in their head, their gear starts spinning. Like, why would you pay me more? Everybody's offering less. Like, what the heck are you talking about?
So that's a great segue into money, right? And what really moves people. And if you think about it, at the end of the day, there's a reason why we all do this, right? Everybody's got their own end game, right? For me, it's I'm a little bit older now. I've got some kids, right? And I've got my family, I've got my health, and then I've got money, right? Well, actually health first and then family and then money. But money is a big motivator inside this country, not only in the real estate space, but just in people's everyday lives. More importantly, money is the biggest motivator inside real estate. So on a wholesale level, if you're trying to buy people's properties at a discount and you wind up coming up to a roadblock there because it's about money, the question becomes, well, how do you overcome the objection? You overcome the objection, in my opinion, by creating motivation, and you create motivation by offering more money. So understanding the strategy and understanding how to create motivated sellers will change the game, not only for the newbies, but for the seasoned investors, knowing that people are attached to how much money they want to make or how much money they want to save in this country. And when you take people's assets, right, or what they believe to be their biggest asset, but we all understand it's a liability, their primary home, it's all about money, how much money they're going to net. So if you can move people around by offering more money and all you're asking for in return is time, you'd be surprised at how much headway you can make.
Man, I've never even heard anybody say that. Create motivated sellers. Can you give us a sneak peek about that one? How you do that? Is that by offering more cash, or what's the secret there?
It's all about understanding what people want and what people need, right? What people want and what people need are two different things. I think there's this mindset when it comes to wholesale that when you're asking questions, you have to get down a pathway and make sure that you ask all the questions in the right order. And what happens is that people get into it and they're like, oh, you know what? I forgot to ask this. So let me go back. And then the sequence seems a little bit jumbled. When you're talking about seller finance or creative finance, when you truly understand what somebody wants and what somebody needs and getting answers to your questions without really asking the question, it positions you into a place where you can negotiate extremely effectively. I'll give you an example. So I've got a guy who just got out of my training. He was in my training for 5 days. And he shoots me a text and he goes, I got a deal. And I said to myself, man, he doesn't even know what a deal is yet. Like, he hasn't underwritten anything. And he says, no, I got a deal. It's on the sixplex. And I took the deal and I underwrote the deal for him. But the reason why we were able to put the deal together is because we knew what the seller needed, where she was moving, what she was buying, the price point she was buying in, how much money she was going to spend per month. And then with the cash flow that we were getting out of this sixplex, we turn to her and go, hey, listen, what if we get you to live for free? And it's like, wait a minute, you're going to get me to live for free? It's like, yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you X amount of money down. I'm going to get you to live for free. And instead of talking in terms of years and months where it's like, hey, I'll balloon you out in 10 years, which is the most ridiculous language to ever use inside creative finance. You should never use the word balloon. You should never use the, the word year. It's all about, hey, listen, if I made you 180 equal payments and it hit your bank account every single month, are you cool with that? How you frame it up,
Man, and this is powerful, right? So I know I kept on referring to like that the new people would be good at or benefit from this information. But like you said, this is really, really advanced stuff, right? So
not really. I mean, it sounds like it's super advanced, but it's really not. It's all about time. And
yeah, it's these tiny little words and phrases and removing certain things from your vocabulary that it cleans up exactly what you mean, and you get your point across without dropping anything on your own foot, right?
I don't give sellers an opportunity to lie to me.
Can you give us an example?
I just don't give them an opportunity to lie to me. I ask relevant questions that will gather as much information as I can, right? And then I go ahead and I leverage that against the seller. But it's really, there's no trickery here, right? It's not like I pull a handkerchief out of my pocket and go, hey, you should do it because of this. I think the real mistake is most wholesalers see it as an option because they go, oh, you know what? Well, if I can't buy it at 60 cents on the dollar, I'll offer the option of seller finance because I can pay more. And if you use it as an option and not a solution, you kind of take away the power of creative finance because it's all in how you spit it out of your mouth. So even though you said it was advanced, I think I'm talking to like a 3-year-old. I'm like, hey, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about payoff. I'm not talking about balloon. I'm not talking about anything. I'm asking for time. Right? So yeah, just really getting into the psyche of the seller. I've been on both ends of the coin. So for me, and I've sat in a lot of shit before. I've walked through a pile of shit and I've sat in it long enough until it stops stinking. And then once it stops stinking, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I got it,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The longer you're in the game, the more of a genius you become, just because you've just hit your head on so many different things.
I got some lumps, man.
Yeah, I feel your pain on that one. I think I have more failed businesses than anybody else that I know.
I'm right behind you, brother. I'm right behind you.
Hey, so you mentioned a money game, and if I think of a money game, I'm thinking of like notes and that kind of stuff, moving percentages around and doing some of that fancy stuff. Is that what you were referring to?
Yeah. So understanding the money, I think for investors, they go, oh, I could be making, right? So wholesale innovation deals, you're getting paid once. Creative deals, you're getting paid every month. You're getting paid every year. Depending on how you hold them, you can hold them for the rest of your life. The money game for me is teaching people not only how to make the money, but where the money is going to when you structure seller finance deals or creative finance deals, and then how you use the refinance component to pull the money out of the property tax free and go buy another piece of property. People don't understand interest. They don't understand taxes. They don't understand debt. We're kind of taught in this country to, not so much evade taxes, but avoid taxes, right? People get really pissed off. They're like, man, I don't want to pay the government this. I don't want to pay the government that. And man, I was taught to not take on debt. The minute you get to learn about debt and taxes and start to love them is when you start to see the real change in your real estate holdings, because the IRS code is a literal roadmap to show you how to avoid paying taxes through real estate. Large banks and small banks love to see real estate debt. So taxes and debt, right? Two things that we're taught to avoid our whole life. If you learn to love, you can do amazing things with.
Yeah, powerful distinction, man. Again, this is like, I guess people aren't thinking about that. They're just thinking about how can I make my next dollar, right?
Mhm.
But once you accumulate enough of those things, you got to know what to do with them now. Now you have a whole new set of challenges.
Now you got to save them, and you
Yeah.
got to know how to kind of work the system, because the money game is very, very simple. It's really simple. Real estate is the only vehicle that really gives you all four of those things that I mentioned earlier on that you want from your investments. You want the cash flow, you want the leverage, you want the tax advantages, and you want the appreciation. You can't get that anywhere else, right? You can't add value to a stock. You can't open up a Lambo rental business, drive it out of the showroom, put a new set of tires on it, and all of a sudden think it's worth more. With real estate, you can add value to real estate and keep going to the well and wringing that asset out, grabbing the money, all while it still cash flows, taking it out tax free and going to buy more property. That's really how the game is played. So I think it's this mind shift from like this cash now. I click my mouse, and if my package isn't at my front door from Amazon in 2 minutes, I get pissed off, to this long term view of real, I hate to use the word generational wealth, because as well as I know, if you're not teaching those little bastards, man, we're going to be laying in the pine box and they're going to be selling it all. So, um,
Yeah.
it's more about sustainable wealth.
Yeah, I see that right now, man. I mean, it's what we come across, right? Where grandma or grandpa or mom or dad worked their whole entire life to give their kids everything, and then they liquidate it to us for pennies on the dollar. Like, what the heck?
Yep. Yep.
So, what's a workaround for that? Like, how do you prevent that from happening?
That's just good estate planning, right? I mean, you can control most of this real estate from the grave if you plan the right way. It's all about having the right team of people, and the right team of people consists of a really good tax advisor, strategist, not a CPA. I'm usually the guy teaching the CPAs, because they want to put you in a box. So you need a good tax strategist, you need a good attorney, um, and a good banker. Those three, and you can control most of this stuff from the grave.
That's amazing, man. Do you cover that in your training, or is that something you refer out?
That's a little bit like super super advanced here. So what I do in the training is I kind of walk them through chronologically, again, to make it easy so that people aren't like moving around. Like, how you hold property is so important, right? What type of entity you form. So we kind of start at ground level, where we'll form an LLC, we'll form it in an estate that has some anonymity, show them about bank accounts and EINs. We'll talk about strategy. We'll then move into like real estate types, what you're looking to accomplish, and then from there we just kind of run. Usually, week 3 and 4 is all underwriting, showing you what you can do with interest. Um, Showing you some crafty stuff, man, that people aren't really even. You know what a good example is, Anthony?
Hmm.
Think of this: you and I walk into a Chevrolet, like a Chevrolet dealer, and we're going to pick up a Camaro, or we're going to shop for a Camaro, or it's me and my wife, and we're going to shop for a Camaro. And I've got a number in my head before I walk into the Camaro dealer on what I want to spend, and let's just say it's $350. As
Hmm.
soon as I walk into the Camaro dealer, the salesman walks over and he goes, "Hey, how you doing?" And I go, "Good. How you doing?" And he goes, "What are you here for?" And I said, "Well, I'm thinking about the Camaro." And the first thing out of his mouth is, "How much do you want to spend per month? Or what are you comfortable with per month?" He doesn't talk to you about interest rates. He doesn't talk to you about term. He's just talking to you about how much you're comfortable with. So if I've got a comfort like a comfortable payment of $350 in my head, and I say to him $350, he immediately brings me to the Camaro that has the tint and the wheels on it and goes, "You could have this one for $425." And I sit there with my wife and I go, "Honey, it's an extra $75 a month. We can figure out a way to get it done." And it's that psychology inside seller finance, when you're on the side where you're the maker of the note. You're the
Hmm.
one that's spitting out all of this stuff and putting it together, that when you understand where the money goes, oh my God, it's like, why would I? ever wholesale?
Yeah. So after 4 years in the game, I'm kicking myself in the butt. Like, dang it, I could have did a lot cooler things with the properties, creating notes, right? Which is the space we're moving heavily into now, and knowing how it works on that end, right? Buying something, selling it for the same price, just playing with the percentages, playing with the interest. A lot of that stuff wasn't on my radar, right?
Creating first and seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is all part of your training.
So I'll cover wraps and note creation towards the end, but I am very heavily focused on showing people how to identify, underwrite, and structure seller finance deals.
So important, man. So important. If I knew how important creating paper was, I would have made that my focus from day one.
You and me both. I am kicking myself in the ass for all that property I sold.
Golly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. Let's walk us through it. Can we go over what's covered? Like, is it like modules? Is it weekly? Is it meetings? Is it phone calls? Can you cover price points? Is there different price points for like to get in?
Yeah, it's all of it. So it's live, it's virtual, it's on a Zoom, it's 2 hours every session. I tell everybody just block an additional hour because I'll run over. I don't stop talking. I don't usually get off the Zoom until I've got everybody's questions answered. So week one is going to be LLCs, real estate types. We'll talk about tax. We'll talk about income, all that stuff. Just get like some of the preliminary stuff out of the way. Week two, we'll talk about principal, interest. We'll talk about some of the basics of seller finance. Week 3 and 4 is going to be all underwriting, showing you where the money goes. Some lead generating sources that not many people utilize. I give it just to my students. And then we'll talk a little bit about sub 2 and why I can't stand it. I'll talk a little bit about wraps. I'll give you a matrix. We'll talk about some contracts. I only put 10 in a class. I don't take any more than that.
Wow.
Yeah, just because I've got to answer everybody's questions. And like I said, I don't really preach, I teach. So cameras on, microphones on, and we're doing it together. I sell out. I usually sell out about a month in advance. I've got, I think, 6 spots left open for December. The training is $2,900 for a seat, but you can bring a guest. So if you have somebody on your team, you can split the cost with somebody on your side. And then you can take the training. In January, it's going to $4,900. So this is in December is the last time that we, we get to, I guess people get to get a discount.
Yeah, dude. So the magician behind the curtain just dropped a link in the chat if you look below the video. And I'll tell you guys, you will save more than that on your very first transaction. You will save more than that. So if that number is hard to stomach from anybody, I promise you, you're going to lose that amount over and over and over and over and over again. And I can tell you because I've been doing it. I've been losing that amount of money over and over again for 3.5 years. Dude, as soon as I learned how to play with these numbers on a deal that I should have made about 20 on or 25 on, it's paying 57. Mm-hmm. So just from tweaking the numbers, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what $22,000 difference in pay?
Yeah.
I did the numbers right.
Yeah.
Insane.
Amazing stuff you can do here with creative. You can get as creative as you want too, right? I mean, you can finance anything, right? So you can finance EMD. You can put different calls in place, and if people have an objection about having or needing more money, you can pay them in 18 months or 24 months. You could do all types of stuff. It's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It's a whole another universe, and I don't know if people can grasp that right now if you're new or advanced. But if you learn how to play with the numbers, yeah, you can really make some magic happen. Like you can do completely unorthodox deals. You can do deals that didn't look like they were a deal in the beginning, where you don't see it, and then somebody else like Mike shows you and says, "Hey, let me see that piece of paper real quick." And then they bend the numbers, they bend the math so well that it makes a mediocre deal into an amazing deal. Yeah, and you're missing those left and right.
And it gets people to bite, right? Because again, money is a motivator, right? So if you're trying to I say this to wholesalers all the time. If you're all pulling the same list, you're all skipping the same list, and you're all kicking the same seller in the ass day in and day out trying to buy it at a discount, like what makes you believe that you're going to be lucky caller number 9 on the day and they're going to go, congratulations, you get to buy my house at a discount.
After they heard everybody else's crappy offer and you drop one just as crappy, you sound like the last guy he hung up on.
Yeah. So it's like, why not try to understand that if you bring me time, I don't even care about your numbers. You bring me time and I'm going to structure a deal. I don't, people, like the 4 pillars, right? Motivation, timeline, condition, and price. I can care less about condition and price. I want to know about your motivation and your timeline. And those two are connected at the hip. And, with the right questions and the right kind of structure. I mean, if you can't sway somebody, I just had this conversation with somebody the other day, right? If somebody's really hell bent on a $200,000 number and you can't sway somebody by offering 230 or 240 or 250, you've got a sales problem. You need a sales training, right? I mean, at that point, you need to understand how to get it out of your mouth fluidly so that a seller can bite and go, oh, well, yeah, why wouldn't we, So yeah, it's an amazing strategy. Amazing. And it's the least risky strategy, Anthony, out of all of them, right? Subject to, you're worried about, the loan getting called due. You're worried about the insurance component. Novations are paperwork heavy like crazy on the back end. You got to be careful with power of attorney and attorney in fact. Hybrid deals, you run into the same thing, but seller finance deals, even wholesale deals, right? You're worried about some stuff up front, but seller finance deals, you are merely making the homeowner the bank. It's simple as that.
Yeah, man, I love them. And when I started in real estate, I didn't have the capital to buy the properties. I started out with just maybe like 50 grand in the bank. I blew like half of that on marketing, and it went good. It made me have a really fast start. But if somebody gave me a $500,000 property for 200 grand, I didn't have it. Right. And no known way to access it. No partners, no private money, nothing. So I would have completely blew that deal just by not knowing what to do. So we immediately started pitching seller finance from the very beginning. Just like I said, just because we didn't have any other choice. But it's like, so I accidentally trained my brain to do that. But if you're not already doing it in the beginning, I mean, you're missing a lot of opportunity. Yeah, you're just completely missing the boat if you're counting on some crazy wholesale number that's not going to work anymore, right? Because everybody and their mom's trying to wholesale right now.
Yeah. If you've only got one tool in a tool belt, or you heard it before, like one trick pony, you're in trouble here. The Fed's going to raise the interest rate again, right? So here we go. We're going to get another 75 basis points in November. I think we'll probably get another 50 basis points in December. When that happens, as if it isn't, horrible enough now, because we've had the cheapest money we ever had 6 months ago. So the perception is, right? I mean, the perception is, well, shit, I'm going to get out of the game. I'm going to wait. The hedge funds have all pulled out, with the exception of a few. They're all on the sidelines with a massive amount of cash ready to jump back in. And I think what most people don't understand is that at least in my lifetime, I'm 48 years old now. I don't see another opportunity coming down the pipeline like I see now. And I've been in up markets, down markets, sideway markets. And usually I'm looking at the tail ass of the train going, shit, man, I missed it. And then sometimes like I'm jumping on the train as it's right in front of me and I'm holding on for dear life. And for the first time in my life, I'm looking down the right-hand side and I'm going, oh, I can see the headlights coming. And all of the property that was sold to these hedge funds, as these wholesalers were like, yeah, this is amazing, they're paying top dollar, those properties are never going to hit the market again.
Mm-hmm.
They're in it for the long haul, like the long term. So if they're in it for the long term because they understand what time can do for their bottom line, think about what time could do for our bottom line, right? It's merely doing exactly what the banks are doing, just seeing it through a different lens. So when the Fed raises the rate again, there has never been a better opportunity to understand creative. And I don't think we're going to get another buying opportunity like this at all.
Why is the time now? Because I've heard that again, just recently. Why is this time going to be different than any point in history or moving forward?
I think it's the monetary policy, in this country, fiscal policy, monetary policy, the printing of the money, right? All of this stuff taking some, and I'm not a real, like, I listen to a lot of guys, but when we turned into a fiat currency, taking the money off the gold standard and just started printing the money, then we had the crash in 2008. We went on a 13-year run of just printing money, printing money, printing money. It's like a house of cards, right? At the end of the day, this thing is going to come crashing down. And money never leaves the market. It just transfers to those who are prepared. And we're in a massive, massive wealth transfer. As we speak, you and I, we're in a massive transfer here. And I just think, we got all these different things that are going on against us. We had COVID, people that are out of work, people that don't want to go back to work. That landscape has changed. Interest rates are through the roof. Inflation's through the roof. People are squeezed. What happens to the people who really need to sell and can't? We're looking at days on market is coming up. Prices are coming down. All of the property that was sold isn't coming back to market. We've got a $4 million housing. I mean, a 4 million. We're shy 4 million houses, 4.5 million houses in the country. So I think more townships and more villages and towns and counties are starting to open up some zoning where we could technically, turn maybe single families into duplexes just by right, not have to jump through the hoops or go through any kind of rezoning. So I think that's where the opportunity lies, is that the more invested in real estate you are, the more you know about it. And then having all of these tools at your disposal, I think just opens up an opportunity that really wasn't there. It looks like it's crashing, but for us investors, I'm ready for the party to get started. It started already.
That's something, having, I think, access to not only the capital, having access to the tools, to the people, right? If money's a game, right, and real estate's a game, right? It's like choose your fighter, right? So you grab somebody like Kashmoneymike or somebody else that you love in the game, stand next to somebody who understands how to navigate this storm, and then from there it should be fairly simple. But if you try to figure it out by yourself, you're going to get run over, because it's going to happen so quickly. By the time you figure out what happened, you're probably going to have already missed the bulk of the action.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. That's why it's so important right now to educate yourself. This is usually the time when things start to get a little bit crazy, and that's why the education space is blowing up. It's people are looking for other things to do at this time, right? So now is really where real estate is really the place you want to be. If your goal is to turn the volume down and sit on the beach and drink your pina colada, or be up in the mountains and doing whatever you want to do with your family, not have to worry about money, you better get into real estate or get left behind.
Yeah, I agree, man. Especially when there's people like yourself, like myself, where we're kind of teaching people what to do, how to navigate, right? So we're jumping into it feet first, and also providing value, helping people out, but we're also casting a wider net, right? So hey, if you see these types of opportunities, bring them over to me so I can take a look at it and see what to do from here. So there's a lot of people doing that. There's a lot of people playing that game, right? And I love that game, because you're helping somebody that otherwise wouldn't know what to do, but you're also widening your presence, right? You're widening your marketing eyes and ears. So very smart thing to do from our side. And then, like I said, very smart thing for the listeners to do on their side is to pair up with somebody like yourself and go after it and figure out what to do. I'm excited, man. Last recession, I was doing construction. So I didn't even know what a recession was. I completely missed it. I didn't know anything about real estate investing. So, and by the time it was over, I didn't even know what had happened. I didn't know what it meant. Like, what's a recession? How was I supposed to know? I'm just a construction guy, right? So now, knowing this time what we're heading into, I think we're in a position to help a lot of people, both on the investor side and also on the seller side, right? So I don't know if anybody looks at real estate investing and they kind of don't know what kind of service we're providing, but we're doing a lot too on their side. We're moving around a lot of things, helping their life not fall apart while they're trying to navigate this storm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I think that's what's so great about the real estate community too. And like just guys like you, is like everybody's so incredibly helpful, right? So like new people who get into the space, right? It's so confusing because there's so many different systems and processes and strategies and stuff like that. But to your point, getting around the right people and just kind of pairing up with the right people can really fast track your way to success. You kind of cut the line when you get involved with other people who have been down the path that you're looking to go down. Yeah,
Yeah.
smart.
I think in our world too, like these other real estate investors, if they're not doing it right, then they say, "Hey, that guy's a coach. He made a course," and they kind of poke fun at you a little bit. But it's like, man, I really, really love what I'm doing, right? So if that's the hat that I have to wear, I freaking love it because every day I get the texts and the phone calls that say, "Hey, finally got my first deal." Somebody just submitted. We have a $1 million deal mastermind, so we're doing a large farm and ranch deals, and so new kids are submitting them, and we got a submission that looks like it's going to be a home run. This might be this guy's first deal. So I'm proud of what I do, man. I freaking love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. We really are bringing something cool to the marketplace. And I think you're going to protect a lot of people too from getting their heads chopped off because wholesaling and real estate investing was going viral for the last several years. So there's a bunch of new kids just rushing in, quitting their jobs. You know how many times I've heard that? I'm going to quit my job and do real estate full time. So how many millions of people do you think have recently quit their job and they're heading into this market?
Man, I just picked up a sub 2 on market from a wholesaler out in Texas that ran to the MLS and said, when you run to the MLS and you put it on for a flat fee, you're flat out telling me that you can't sell it anywhere. So you put it up on the MLS and like I'm able to sniff this stuff out. Like there's so many deals on market too that like you can really find from just that alone, right? So many people getting into it, playing the appreciation, and now everybody's kind of stuck. There's a lot of adjustable rate like loans on multifamily stuff that's starting to pinch some people. So a lot of opportunity, man. When you really understand it, there is a ton of it. But yeah, good point. Like just so many people got in and
They're going to get slaughtered, bro.
shiny object, man.
So we're coming in like the medics with our tool cases, like when you're in a battlefield, like in a war.
With the gurney, man, ready to take bodies out.
Yeah, there's gonna be a bunch of bodies hit the floor right now, man. I think
it's starting now. It's starting now,
Yeah, we're seeing it. We're seeing a lot of it. People having to go back to whatever they were doing before they got into real estate. So they're gonna have to sit it out for a couple of years because they weren't getting ready for it, or they didn't connect with somebody like yourself to help them go move the way forward, man. So I'm just very curious. Just like I said, I'm excited. We're doing okay. We have deals in the pipeline. They're gonna last another year, and we're not slowing down at all. And even if the market slow down and sales stop happening, nobody's going to starve to death, right? So I think that's just knowing how to play the game.
Yeah, foot on the gas right now. Foot on the gas.
Yeah, that's what I think, right? If things are going to slow down and get stagnant, go faster. So we always ask every guest on here, man, what's a quote that you like or a quote that you resonate with?
Oh boy, man, that's
yours or somebody else's. Yeah.
That's a loaded question. There's so many that I resonate with.
I got a bunch of them, and I always botch quotes, but I have quite a few that I love.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's actually a quote, but I mean, because there are a bunch of them, and I'm not going to remember them off the top of my head, Anthony. I'll be dead honest with you. I think the important thing to remember inside this game of life is that your health is the most important, your faith above all, right? And then your health is your most important. And then your family comes after that. Without your health, you can't have your family. And you could take all the money away from me like tomorrow and I can go live in a fucking tent somewhere and I'll be fine. You know what I mean? So I just think that you keep things in perspective when you go into something like this, because you could really get sidetracked because the money is good, right? I mean, you put a deal together, just like you said, with your student with his first deal, right? It could be a banger and you can get really sidetracked. So I just think that people should have very clear goals and they should have all of their priorities in line before they get into something like this. But I mean, quotes, geez, man, I mean, there's so many of them. There's just so many. I couldn't even think of one off the top of my head. I'll be dead honest with you.
Maybe we could drop one into the chat after, but I love the wisdom, man, because that's something that I talk about a lot. I have what I call the 10 commandments of real estate investing for our community. And number 10 is to spend some time in prayer, meditation, spend some time in silence, 10 to 40 minutes a day. Without that, you have nothing. You have absolutely nothing. And
Amen.
then, we're real big on health too, man. Really big. So we're actually starting a health segment of the podcast. And we want to start talking more about that because even somebody like myself, I've done a juice fast and a water fast over 21 days, over 23 days. So I've done like all kinds of insane testing on myself from like a health perspective. And last year, while we were building Hive Mind, I freaking gained like 25 pounds, man. I stopped going to the gym. Like I stopped putting myself first, and it was hurtful. It was hurtful to my business, to my relationships. Like, you know, when you're not feeling right, you're heavy, you're just not taking care of yourself. It seems like even though things are going amazing in business, like other things are coming apart. And I think that's what you pointed at, and that's what you mentioned, man. So I appreciate you talking about that.
Yeah, for sure. It's important. You got to take care of yourself. I don't do the best job taking care of myself. It's usually like steaks and cakes for me.
Man, I'm 100% steak, man. I go through a ton of red meat, but I'm not super big like on, you know, just knocking down bowls of pasta and stuff like that.
I remember you telling me, or somebody told me, it's like, yeah, you eat a bunch of red meat and I think you said it to me that it's like changed your body. You like makes you feel better. Yeah.
It's super strong, man. Super strong. I recently gave up caffeine. Like it's changed a lot. My recovery in the gym is amazing, right? I'm 41 now, and it's almost impossible for me to get sore. I mean, very rarely do I get sore. CrossFit 5 days a week. And it's just, I think it's straight to diet, man, because I tried everything. I was like kind of like a raw vegan for almost 10 years, like just all vegetables and fruits and all that. And adding a lot of fat and meat to my diet, it's done a lot for my mental performance, my sleep, everything, man. It's just a complete game changer.
That's amazing. Yeah. Everybody's body's different. I went vegan for about 6 months. I felt great.
Yeah.
And then found a steakhouse, jumped into a steakhouse, had a nice ribeye. I was like, okay, I'm back.
Yeah, man. I think it's about for one, balance, right? Because I think there is a time for you to do a cleanse, a 3-day cleanse, water fast, that kind of stuff. And then also there's the time to build, right? Like everything else, everything expands and contracts. But yeah, adding a lot of fat and meat to my diet, it's been tremendous for me. I look to be in the cattle business one day from some regard. And I really believe in that, preserving like our earth, our farms and our ranches, protecting our waterways. So that's why I chose the land business, man. It's a lot bigger than just making, you know, cool paychecks.
Sounds like you're passionate about it. I'm sure you're going to be amazing.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Well, I appreciate you coming on here, man. This was a fun one. And I encourage everybody, like I said, please sign up for this training. It's the last time you're going to see it this cheap. Where you at, $2,900?
Yeah, $2,900. I got 6 spots left. And then I'm breaking for Christmas, man. I'm taking it nice and easy for Christmas. Going to head up north and then get back at it in January. But yeah.
Beautiful, man. Yeah. So he's allowing you to bring a free guest to the program. So you can split it with somebody else. So you each pay half. And I promise you, like I said, the stuff that we touched on, I haven't taken the training, which I'm sure I will. But it's going to save you a lot more. You're going to make way more than that just by taking the training, because I already know what you alluded to. Like I said, just for myself right now, I'm going to be positive like $27,000 or more just from learning some of the elements that you're teaching, man. So yeah, I encourage anybody to take advantage of that. If there's still a seat open, I do that immediately.
I appreciate you. Yeah. So real quick, that guy who put that deal under contract, he overpaid by $80,000. So she wanted $500. He wound up paying $580. I got on a plane and flew to his hometown to go look at the deal that I underwrote. I offered him 1.1 million on site, and he told me no, which was the right thing. So this guy made $500,000 with the stroke of a pen.
Wow, dude! Holy smokes!
No joke. I was a little jealous. I was like, shit. Like I structure some really good deals for myself, but for me to do that for a student and have the student do it, he was like, yo, you changed my whole life. I was like, we're just getting started. And literally we're working on a 64 unit right now. So we've got a lot of good things coming down the pipeline. A lot of good opportunity for everybody.
You give Mike 29 $100 bills, he'll teach you how to make $500,000. And it happens, like you said, it happens over and over and over again. The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah, it gets easy.
Insane, dude. Okay, man. Well, this was a fun one. Daniel said to mention that he wants to run part 2 of this so we can do some deal breakdowns. So yeah, I guess we'll run through something like that next time.
Anytime, brother. I appreciate you having me on, man.
The show is sponsored by The List Guys. Do you need more leads in your local or virtual market? 1 in 10 small businesses don't invest in any kind of marketing. The List Guys have over 35 plus list types to choose from, and you can mix and match any list or criteria. We also use the skip trace list and provide up to 7 numbers and email addresses. Every list you purchase will be scrubbed against previous purchases. The List Guys are here to save you time. Contact the List Guys today at www.1listguys.com. That's www.1listguys.com.
Dude, thanks for hanging out. This one was freaking amazing. I hope people watch this one and get some good takeaways out of it.
I appreciate you, Anthony.
Thank you.